Right, some of you know me, some of you don't. Some of you were on Killy Time we did. I'll start again. My name is Alex Maurice. I help Hive with their challenges. We set up the Hive Challenges You initiative 4 years ago. And we started, I came to talk to Louise because there was a diagnosis in my family of my sister-in-law Amanda, and I wanted to do something for her. So 4 years ago, we organised a climb up Kilimanjaro with 23 women, and we raised £330,000 for Hive. That followed on 2 years later with a trek in Iceland across the snow plains that Emma was on. Anyone else who was on? No? And that raised, there were 10 of us, and that raised £103,000. And here we are again, we're on to our next challenge. And we want to do something a little bit closer to home, because A, it's easier to get to, you don't have to fly miles away, and B, it doesn't take so much of your time up, and C, it makes sense. Why? Because the synergy of 24 hours, life can change in 24 hours with a cancer diagnosis, changes your life, and it changes the life of everyone around you. So we thought, what can we do in 24 hours? And it appears we can climb 24 peaks in 24 hours or something like that, which we're going to talk about in a minute. But first of all, I think that's all I want to say actually. Louise, I want you to talk about what we're going to raise some money for.
Thank you. Hi, my name is Louise Hager, and it's my privilege to be chairman of Hive Cancer Care. And it's wonderful to see so many familiar faces, and really appreciate your support, both old and new. Old, not in old years, loyal. That's important. So, as Alex just said, raising money for Hive. Last time we did it for children. The first one was a children and family service, and last time was the image room. And this year we decided to allocate all the money is raised to the home support service. So if I just put it into context, we actually come just on the figures. It's always a very, you've heard me say it before, those who've heard me speak, very bittersweet emotions, because we've just gone over the 2,500 mark of active clients that Hive is supporting as we speak now. It's a lot of people. And as Alex just said, that's individual people, but all of them have family members, friends, so the impact of Hive services goes far wider than that 2,500. Having said that, that's still 2,500 people more than we actually would like to have the need. Of that number, just over 20% are seen in their home. Why do we have a home support service? Well, mainly for three reasons. For people who are going through active treatment, it's enough, they're going to the hospitals, their life is disrupted, to come out again, it's just too much. For people who are sadly in terminal stages, they just can't come to Hive. And it's also people who need the anonymity. They're not yet ready to come into a centre, a cancer centre. They've had enough of hospitals. They just don't want to know. And we realised that if people couldn't come to us, we need to go to them. It's a very expensive service, because if you think of a therapist's time, if they could see 4 clients, every hour in the morning session, but they could only see 2 because of the travelling backwards and forwards. And inevitably, it always stays a bit longer. There is sometimes a cup of tea, there's family members to be seen, it's rarely just the patient themselves. This is an extremely expensive service to run, but we know how important it is, especially if people have been coming to Hive, have got used to the therapists or the counsellors. That continuity carries on. We will go into their home with, if we can, the same therapist and the same counsellor. If you look at the back, and we got Together magazine, right. Hive is 26 years old. Can I just say how many people have never been here or don't know much about Hive? Oh, phew, 1. Okay. Can we have a one-to-one session afterwards? Emma will tell you. So, as you know, it's 26 years old. When we came to do this magazine, the editor was a wonderful lady called Deborah Wald, said to us, do you realise you started off with a telephone helpline, now 26 years ago on, you have over 50 services. We never stopped and counted them, we just carry on and do what we need to do. As an organisation, we don't duplicate or replicate, we innovate, and all these services would be very hard for people to find out in the general community. Hyde does not limit the amount of service and support that we provide. We don't go by the stage of the illness or how long if there's been bereavement, we carry on supporting. So what you do, and please God will do for Hyde, is incredible. We need to raise just over £2.5 million to run the service. This is our flagship centre, this is the main service, but we have 10 satellite services up and down the UK. And if any of you are interested in doing the walk, or for some reason find out it's not for you, we want to make this a national event. So we got these 10 satellites. If you know people anywhere in the UK or abroad, they could come and join this incredible feat, which I shall be monitoring you from the warmth and safety of Hyde. I have a little map, and I will be charting as you go up and down. It's very strenuous and very arduous, and I'm very tense about it, but I'll be with you all the way, eating cakes as you go along. It's really, in fact, we couldn't do what we do without you. We don't get any statutory funding, not one single penny. And without events like this and your support, Hyde will not be able to do what it does. I hope this is just a taste. I hope you will consider it seriously. And with Alex leading it, there's no question it's going to be successful, because wherever Alex goes, everyone follows. And Alex, thank you so much. Really done. Thank you.
Right, you're on.
Am I on?
Yes.
There we go. I've suddenly realised I don't have a pointy thing. Is there anything... Joe, is there anything that will allow me to click? Will that work? Otherwise we're stuck staring at this guy's face all day. Okay. Hi everyone, my name's Andy Baker. I'm the UK operations manager at Charity Challenge, so it's my responsibility to kind of set up and design and put these events on all over the UK. There we go. It's a little bit of my background. I used to be a kind of a leader doing things abroad, running kind of various trips, but now I'm a bit more sedentary. But I'm actually based up in the Lake District myself, so if anyone has any questions about the area and things, you can also kind of fire them my way. As well. Are we able to just go back one slide as well, just whilst we're here as well? The friendly guy who's been smiling at us for the last half an hour and things is a guy called Jim Young. He will actually be, there we go. There's Jim. Jim's actually the guy who will be leading this on the ground, so those of you who do come along, and I hope it'll be the majority, I hope I don't put too many people off this evening. Jim will be the guy who you meet there. You may well see me at some point, but Jim will be the guy who's out there on the hills. Like an enormous wealth of experience of things. Jim's been doing this for 20 odd years, both in the UK and abroad and things, so you'll be in really good hands. He's also a lot of fun, hopefully, kind of picture things. So we move on. Oh, the sales and marketing slide that I'm never allowed to take out of these presentations. Charity Challenge, we've been around for 17 years. Simon Albert, who's the director, has quite a personal connection with the charity and things, and Simon was a bit disappointed that he couldn't be here tonight. I think is he looking after some Israeli soldier or something who's come over to, is that right? Yeah, I didn't ask too many questions and things. But Simon has a kind of a connection with the charity and things. He's been running Charity Challenge for 17 years. We've run things all over the world. We've done a number of very high profile trips with various celebrities going up Kilimanjaro and on the Zambezi. Those of you who remember the comic relief stuff and things. And just a little bit kind of about the website and the support you'd get is that everybody who signs up gets access to an account area on the website. That's where we kind of store all the information, training advice, a bit of help with fundraising, any information that you need about the challenge. It all gets kind of stored in the account area. You all get an account to log into. So from our side, kind of hopefully that will support you through the logistical kind of side of the journey and things. And we're obviously there to help with the fundraising if you need it, like supplementary to hire as well. Okay. So just a little bit of an introduction to where exactly we're going. Hopefully, so the Lake District being in the northwest, it's about kind of a couple of hours just past Manchester. So from London, Google Maps will tell you it can be done in about 5 hours. I'm yet to manage that. It's about a kind of a 6 or 7 hour kind of drive from London up there. When you turn off the M6 at the bottom, it all gets a little bit kind of slower paced and winding roads and things. But where we're based at, hopefully if you can just see the little house in the middle, is a beautiful little village called Elterwater, is where is the base for the kind of the duration of the time you're up there. It's slap bang in the heart of the Lake District. It's an absolutely stunning little village. It is your classic, quintessential Lake District little village. Little kind of pub, little cafe, big nice little village green, like a little lake sat down by the bottom, and we're kind of located slap bang in the heart of it. The first day's walking is the route on the left, if you see the two kind of walking things, and then the second day is kind of on the right things. I show you that later on. Just to be clear about the kind of like the 24-hour aspect of the challenge things, just to make it that, I don't know if it makes it easier or harder. In some ways it's harder. The 24-hour time period is actually split over 2 days, and the challenge is to complete the 24 peaks within 24 hours of walking, but the walking is actually split over 2 days. So we're not going to force you to be climbing mountains in the Lake District in the middle of the night. Things, health and safety would not be so happy. Okay, Joe, Joe, maybe on the next slide. Okay, just to run through the itinerary. So the picture in the top, that's where we'll be staying, the hostel in Elterwater. So it's a beautiful old building and things. Just to run through the itinerary, there's a coach transfer that will be leaving from here on the Sunday, kind of lunchtime-ish. I'd imagine, I think that's to be arranged. Drives up to Elterwater, get to Elterwater, and then there's dinner in the hostel. And that's the opportunity where you'll meet the leaders, you'll meet Jim, and then he'll go through the kind of like a full safety briefing, making sure that everyone is kind of fully up to speed with what is going to happen over the next couple of days, things. It's a chance for you to then kind of like relax, ask any questions, things, and then kind of settle into the hostel. Next day, both days kind of follow a pretty similar theme. There'll be early mornings, you'll be getting up, it'll be breakfast. There's a minibus transfer just out to the start of the trek. It's kind of like not too long of a transfer. And then you begin the trek. You trek all day, you're completely self-supported throughout the day. There's no real checkpoints, there's no places to kind of pick up food or water, so you need to carry everything with you for the day. You'll get to the end of the day, the minibus will pick you up and then whiz you back to the hostel. So on the first day, you'll head back to the hostel for dinner, a chance to relax, shower, clean up, relax, think about, oh, blimey, what the hell's going to happen tomorrow? And then the following day, you kind of repeat, but this time when you get back to the hostel, there'll be the time to kind of opportunity to freshen up, kind of change any clothes. There'll be a kind of a bit of food probably to take with you, because I think everybody will be quite keen to then just kind of get going and get back down the road to get home. So that's kind of the itinerary in a nutshell. Next one. Right, the accommodation, where we're staying and things, is usually the main thing to kind of try and knock on the head straight away. I can't remember, was it Joe, was it you who said, or somebody, maybe Alex, about if it's better to have a hostel than it is to do camping and things. So therefore, if you want some things. The hostel, it's always the big thing. I always tell people to see it as part of the challenge. To see, that's kind of part of the thing to overcome. There's no getting around the fact that it is a youth hostel. They are dormitories. You're looking at kind of like 4 people in a room. You're perfectly entitled, if you know people, just kind of like let us know when you register and we can make sure that everyone's in the same room. However, I am going to try and sell it a little bit. It is a beautiful hostel. It's set in a fantastic location. It's a beautiful old building. The area downstairs, the sitting area and the dining area, is beautiful. There's lovely kind of couches to sit. There's usually a fire going and things. It is quite a relaxing place, if you can look past the fact that you're sleeping in bunk beds and things. So. Okay, and then food and drink. So all food and drink is provided for you throughout the challenge. It's all kind of like provided for at the hostel. things is where all the food will come from. So when you arrive, you'll get dinner on the first night. You'll get breakfast on both days. You'll get packed lunches to take with you during the day. There'll be dinner on the Monday evening when we come back, and then there'll be a kind of a takeaway snack to keep you going on the road, kind of when you finish the challenge things. Anybody who has, if there's any kind of like dietary requirements and things, just let us know. We're more than happy to kind of like work with anybody who has any kind of concerns. It's really unlikely that anything is going to get thrown at us that we haven't seen before. The food will be kind of strictly vegetarian, and we do have kind of new pots and pans and cutlery is being brought in specifically for the challenge. But if anyone has any kind of concerns or questions, just let us know, and we'd much rather know in advance, and then we can just work to finding a solution. Probably the biggest headache is when you turn up and then drop some bombshell on us, and we then have to try and find a fix. So just let us know if there's anything in advance. Thanks. Right, in terms of the routes when we're out there, so as I said, it's kind of split over 2 days. You've got 2 really iconic, beautiful days. They are almost without question things, the 2 iconic, stunning walks in the Lake District. You've got one that's going to go over Scafell Pike, and the second day takes you over Helvellyn. So on the first day, you'll transfer out to a place called kind of to the Honister Pass, which is an old kind of slate mining area, and then you'll make the slow walk back. So actually the hostel is actually just down here where you start from, and you'll make the slow kind of climb up, and then up and over and down and heading south over Scafell Pike, which is the highest mountain in England. And then you head all the way down into kind of Great Langdale, and then end to the end of the road. And then we get picked up by the minibuses and taken back to the hostel, which is literally from there is about a 5 or 10 minute drive from where we finish walking. As you can see, I've kind of tried to show the ascent profile as to what you do. We do 12 peaks every day, which can sound quite daunting, the thought of if you went up and down kind of all day. But hopefully, as you can kind of make out from the graph, once you get up, you are largely up. I say that sparingly. But you are kind of like up, and then you kind of like the ups and downs are a little bit more gradual. So it's not 12 entire mountains. The highest point you get to on this day is 977 meters. And there is a total amount of ascent of 1,500 meters, which the highest mountain in the UK is Ben Nevis. It's only 1,300 meters. So in total, you're doing more than the ascent. However, the distance is 17 kilometers, which might not sound like the most terrifying distance, but when you throw in the total amount of ascent, you're looking at a good 10 hours of walking and out on the hills. And as I said, you'll be kind of unsupported really, in the sense that you're carrying water, you're carrying food, you're carrying kind of everything that you will need during the day with you. So that's day 1. Day 2 is another iconic route that takes you out. Kirkstone Pass is where you start, and you climb up and you go up to the top of Helvellyn, which is 949 meters. So there's slightly less ascent on this day, but only slightly. But both days are very similar in their difficulty and their duration. Again, you're looking at kind of 17 kilometers. And again, you can see from the graph that once you kind of climb up onto the top, it's kind of up and down without anything too dramatic to kind of have to climb up again. So those are the routes on the 2 different days. Okay, in terms of the kind of the terrain and the difficulty, as I said, they're 2 long days of walking. Kind of 10 hours is a long time to be out walking in the hills. There's no kind of ways around it. That is the challenge part of it. A lot of the things we do in the UK are just 1 day of walking. So the real challenge for this one is the fact that you've got 2 days. You do it 1 day, and then you have to get up and do it again the second day. So that's the real added challenge for this one. But hopefully that's the part that kind of well, you know, will add to the sense of achievement that you get at the end. The terrain that you follow is mostly on well-established, kind of well-walked footpaths. There's no kind of disappearing, you know, kind of into completely remote areas. But the footpaths, as you can see in the picture, they can be very rocky in certain places. Anybody who's climbed up to the top of Scafell Pike, it's quite a notorious, kind of a little bit like a boulder field is the best way to describe it. It's kind of loose rock across this kind of summit plateau. And then of course, being the UK, if there is any rain around, there's a very good chance that some of the paths will be quite boggy and wet and slippery as well. So you just need to come prepared. That as well, the other huge challenge to this is battling against the weather. Hopefully you'll get glorious sunshine and you'll get fantastic clear views for as far as you can see. However, that might not quite be possible to arrange. So the weather can be hugely unpredictable, it can be very variable, it can change enormously from the start of the day to the end of the day, and it can also be hugely different. You'll wake up in the morning and down in the valleys is a beautiful sunny day, and suddenly up on the top you've got kind of like gusting winds, and the weather can, even in the summer and things, the wind can make it kind of feel as if temperatures get down to anything kind of around about what it's like outside at the moment. Things. So that's another kind of, you know, like a huge part of the challenge and things to make sure that you're prepared for. Next slide. So the best way to prepare for all of that then is to just kind of make sure that in terms of the kit list, you just make sure you kind of really pay attention to what is on the kit list and come fully prepared for everything. We provide you with a kind of a comprehensive kit list as to what you require, but probably just a couple of things to kind of really flag up and mention now. Make sure that whatever boots that you are going to walk in, make sure that they're well worn in and that you've worn them out at least a few times before you turn up. There's nothing worse from a leader's point of view. You'll see people get off the bus and they'll get handed a box of brand new boots that they then carry into the hostel, and it kind of sends shivers down our spine. People's feet get ripped to shreds based on that. A waterproof jacket is also going to be essential, as are waterproof trousers. I always highlight this because it's one of my bugbears for kind of all of our challenges in the UK, is that people quite often forget waterproof trousers or don't see them as being as essential as waterproof jackets. But just remember that you're going to be out on the hills for 10 hours at a time, and if your legs get wet in that first hour or that first couple of hours, probably going to be wet for the rest of the day, and you can get very cold, and it's just as serious a problem as if you didn't have a waterproof jacket. So always kind of try to highlight the necessity for waterproof trousers. Hats and gloves for cold weather. As I said, you are going to be up at kind of 800, 900 meters for the majority of both days. So it can get cold there. Making sure that you've got a warm layer for when you stop. A little bit more optimistically, a sun hat. You know, there might be the opportunity to wear it. And then also just making sure that you've got a kind of a well-fitting rucksack that can actually carry everything that you need for the entire day. It's another little kind of common mistake that we quite often see, is that people will just turn up having not actually tested whether they can fit kind of a drinking bottle, a waterproof, a warm layer, a camera, things actually in the bag that they're intending to walk for, and they turn up and suddenly discover that they can't fit it all in the bag, and that they're then going to have to choose between whether they take water or whether they take a waterproof, and all sorts of problems. So it's just making sure that you kind of, as I said, we give you the kit list well in advance. It's already on the website, but it's just paying kind of particular attention to it to just make sure that you turn up. You'll have a much better time and enjoy yourself far more if you make sure that you've got all the right equipment. Okay, and in terms of training, it's probably the kind of one of the things that people are always a little bit concerned about. How fit do I need to be to take part in this challenge? There's no simple answers to that. I think probably probably the last point here is the most important. Nobody here needs to be super fit to do this challenge. This is not a real test of your cardiovascular kind of capacity and things. What you really need, like any of our challenges, is a determination to get through. Everybody will find it difficult and challenging things. It doesn't matter how fit you are, but it's kind of having that determination to keep pushing through. So that's that's probably the most important thing in terms of your fitness. But there are, of course, a couple of things that you can do. Try and maybe, if you can, go out into the outdoors and do a bit of walking on footpaths. It is kind of different than obviously walking around the city, things when it's slippery underfoot and kind of rocky underfoot. It takes a bit more out of you. Probably because this is a 2-day challenge, probably one of the key things is kind of practicing doing 2 days of exercise back to back. It's one thing to you go out there and you can kind of do a long walk one day, but can you then get up the second day and do something similar again? Or do you wake up kind of on a Sunday morning and go, blimey, that was a nightmare, I'm not going to be doing any more. So it's just getting your body kind of used to doing 2 days of exercise kind of back to back things. And then the final point is kind of walking up hills. If you can practice that, is probably quite key for a 24 Peaks challenge. If you can't find any hills, then getting that treadmill set up so that you're one of those people in the gym who's there looking as if you're clinging on for dear life. It's a good idea. And then also just thinking about kind of training with your kit. So maybe go out for a walk with the boots you're going to wear, with the rucksack that you're going to wear, kind of packed with what you've got inside it, just so you're kind of used to what it's going to feel like. Find a lot of people will turn up and their rucksack will really rub things. But that's really it in terms of training, and we're there kind of like throughout the way. If you have any questions, then I'm there to kind of answer anything if anyone has any concerns about any of that. Okay, so hopefully that's a kind of a very broad overview as to what you can kind of expect on the challenge. Does anybody have any questions on top of that, or concerns straight away? Things. Ooh. Yeah. Poles is a bit of a kind of a personal choice. You see more and more people using poles now. They can be really good, especially when you've got kind of 2 days of walking and you've got kind of quite a lot of ascent, but most importantly the descent is probably what people find is quite often the hardest. And the poles do make an enormous difference actually in terms of supporting you. It is very surprising how much kind of weight they take off things and how much of the impact they can absorb. So they are a really good idea. The one thing I'd say is if you're going to walk with poles, again, just kind of have a bit of a little practice with them before you turn up, just so you're comfortable, because some people just find them a bit awkward and don't really like them, and so you'll see quite a few people will start off with them in the morning, discover that they hate them, and then carry them around for the rest of the day, which is a little bit kind of a bit of extra energy wasted. So, yeah. Mm-hmm.
When was the last time you did this expedition?
This one?
Yeah.
We didn't actually run it. I'm really excited to have this one, because this isn't one that runs every year, mainly because it's the 2 days maybe aspect of it. The UK tends to be a bit more of a one-day thing. We ran it twice last year, and we ran it I think twice more the year before. Things. So it's quite exciting that having missed it for a year to be able to kind of put it on again next year. Things, because it's probably my favourite UK challenge, which might be me being kind of biased because it's in the Lake District, but they really are 2 absolutely stunning days of walking. They really are 2 of the best days you could do in the Lake District. And the venue where you stay, the little village of Elterwater, is just spectacular, like just a really lovely spot to stay. Mm-hmm.
If it rains a lot, does it get muddy?
Yes, yeah, it can get very muddy in certain places. Usually, kind of, we know there are notorious spots where if it does rain a lot, kind of are well known for getting quite kind of boggy, and there are kind of alternative routes that we can then kind of take to try and avoid most of it. But if it rains a lot, yeah, the footpaths will get quite boggy and things. So. Yeah, oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the whole trek follows kind of pretty much established footpaths. So it's not as if the footpath ever is kind of just completely disintegrates and it isn't walkable and things. You know, you kind of like, your boots will get muddy and you might get kind of wet feet and things.
It's not really like walking on rubble. There is a set of...
It's a footpath almost the entire way. As I said, the only one part to that, just people are aware, is on the top of Scafell Pike is this quite large boulder field where there is a footpath. It's a very clear kind of direction, but it really is just kind of like very rocky, so it's not really an obvious path to walk and things. But yes, yeah.
How many guides are with us?
So it depends on exactly how many of you we have.
My
I think
friend wants to know how many people this youth hostel fits. Yes.
how many people can stay? I think we've got 40 beds at the moment booked in the youth hostel, which is the entire thing. And if we had 40 people, then we'd have 5 guides. We'd work on a ratio of kind of 1 to 8 of you. So there'd be plenty of guides with you on the hill. So if anybody has any problems, if anyone's finding it tough, if anyone has any accidents, then we've got plenty of guides to be able to get you down off the mountain safely and support you. There's also a support vehicle kind of at the bottom of the hills. It kind of can access certain places, not all places. But so and obviously it's kind of like part of our risk assessment is to know exactly where, if an accident happens here or if somebody is really struggling at this point, where's the easiest place to get them out and get them back to the support vehicle.
So everyone's staying together and walking.
That's the intention, yes. So the way we kind of sell it is very much as a kind of like a team event. We find, it's like with all of our challenges, we kind of find that I think everybody gets far more out of it and things if we all kind of like, everybody pulls together and works as a team. Yeah, it's kind of, it's just a far more enjoyable experience really. But that said, if it becomes necessary to split the group because, you know, kind of like there's a very clear kind of walking speed difference and things, then obviously we would do that. We wouldn't force everybody to kind of walk at the same speed and things.
Do you carry your food and your water, or just the water?
Yes, and the food as well. Yeah. So it's just kind of, it's like a kind of a packed lunch really. So it's
Carry
not.
less water. Can you? It's quite heavy. It's not when you look upside down, you balance it out and it really does work.
It's absolutely. It's surprising kind of how comfortable it is. So yeah, I would worry. Yeah.
Don't be shy, don't be shy. Is it a toilet question?
Hey.
Are you here in the Lake District? Yes! There you go. Anybody
As I say.
stand up? Anybody been in the wilderness? Stand up.
Hey.
There's your answer.
In which case, there's plenty of experience. It's a case of finding a convenient location. There are toilets obviously at the hostel. There's toilets at the start of both days in the car parks. But after that, when you're on the hills, yeah, it's a case of finding a quiet spot. And enjoying the view.
I've got 2 questions. One is about change of clothes for the next day, whether it's necessary. And the other one is, I read on the blog about being able to climb bed levels, being useful. Or did I read that wrong?
Oh, that's probably part of our kind of recommendations. In terms of the clothes, it's probably not a bad idea to have 2 sets of walking clothes, one for each day, just in case it is absolutely horrific. There is a drying room at the hostel, so you can kind of you will be able to have the opportunity to dry boots and things, and yeah, things should dry out kind of overnight, but it's probably not a bad idea to have kind of 2 sets of certainly kind of a t-shirt and some trousers to wear for the walking. Socks is also, absolutely.
Is that changeable?
it can be that changeable. It's getting better in terms of the predictions now. What will happen in terms of the support you'll get from us is that kind of 1 month before going, you'll kind of send the final kind of joining instructions, just to double check everybody's kind of thinking about the kit list, a little bit of kind of where you need to meet and directions if anybody's going there directly themselves. And then around about that time, we'll kind of mention about kind of the weather forecast, and we'll provide you to a link. There's actually a kind of a mountain weather that's very specific kind of for the Lake District kind of forecasting service. So we'll give you a link, and those of you who are brave enough can kind of monitor it in the days leading up to it, I think. So.
What do most people wear under the waterproofs? Like, do most go in their gym gear, or do they wear...
You can wear gym gear. Most people have the kind of like the quick drying and the wicking t-shirts. If you have those to the gym, just because they're kind of a little bit lighter and they dry very quickly. Basically, if they get wet, and they take sweat away from kind of your body. Unlike a cotton t-shirt, I'm sure everyone's worn a cotton t-shirt to the gym and noticed that it gets absolutely sodden straight away almost. So that's a really good idea. And then in terms of the trousers, again, I know kind of like quite a lot of women will kind of wear leggings and things like they do in the gym. It's absolutely fine. The only thing I'd say to that is just thinking about those waterproof trousers as well, because if you imagine like wearing leggings and them getting wet and them clinging to your skin throughout the day and things. Yeah, so you put the waterproofs on top. So just making sure you've got those waterproof trousers to then put on when and if you needed them.
And if you've never climbed a mountain before, does it matter?
No, not at all. Oh no, I would say probably easily 60.
It's hard, like it's a hard challenge, extreme hard challenge, and I was just making sure that I haven't ever climbed.
About 60-70% of people who turn up for our UK challenges have never done anything in the outdoors before. Things.
I haven't, obviously, to this capacity.
So I wouldn't worry about it if you have no experience and you've never done anything in the outdoors at all. It's not a deterrent. There's no reason. We get lots and lots of people. As I said, the majority of people who turn up for our UK challenges have very little experience. Obviously, if you can get a bit of experience before you go, hopefully people will see it as a good excuse to have a day out in the countryside and just go for a walk somewhere.
In the countryside, all the little things like an Ilkley, a place like that, where all those things, they count.
Yeah.
It's just...
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's just... It's very similar. It's similar in terms of the difficulty, compared to the Three Peaks. Probably the major difference and the thing that makes this more manageable is that there is a break in the middle. Things. So you have that first day, but then you have the time to kind of recover, and you can get a proper night's sleep, and then you can kind of like go again the next day. So that makes it a little bit more manageable. But in terms of the actual the distances you're walking and the height you're climbing compared to the Three Peaks, it's almost identical, this challenge. So.
Do you know Masada?
It's
one of the comparison steepness. We've all done that at some stage.
Oh, it's Masada. It's the fort in Israel. Yes. Yeah. It's sorry, I only know this because Simon has just come back and he went and did it, and he was trying to compare it and things. By the sounds of it, that sounds probably tougher than any of the ascent you would do. The only difference being that is a kind of a one-off up and then kind of down, whereas this is that's probably the best way to describe it. It's far more endurance involved here rather than kind of just getting to the top and then being able to kind of get back down and stuff. But in terms of the level of difficulty of any of the ascents is very similar things. If not, I think Masada sounds as if it might actually be a little bit harder.
Does altitude make any difference at all?
No, not in the Lake District, yeah. So you're okay with that.
Any more questions? When do we have to say that
we really want to go ahead? Deadline?
Yeah, we haven't really set a deadline. Probably in the new year, probably January, February, we'd like, it would be good to get an invitation. I don't know whether anyone knows from the blurb that we sent out per person how much it costs. Okay, I will tell you. It's £547 each, which includes everything. So we're talking about the coaches, so you don't have to do train rides. We're going to lay on a coach from here, high, to get there and to come back. And we put on the 2 dinners as well because we're going the Monday night and Sunday night
Monday.
and Monday night.
And then the Tuesday night there is a meal to kind of take away sort of things.
On the Tuesday we get back late because depends on us, doesn't it?
The aim for finishing on the Tuesday is we try to get you finished by 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and then it's the coach ride back, which on the way back is kind of you're looking at another 6 hours. So.
By the end of the second or third day, so we don't want to be away.
What time do we start?
In the in the morning, it's you're usually starting around about kind of 7 o'clock. And things.
So you have to walk really quick.
So the starting. So we usually estimate it's around about 10 hours each day, depending. Essentially, the second day we'll suddenly discover what sort of kind of time we need to start you in the morning based on how everyone gets on the first day.
Which is going to continue.
Yeah.
So there's no lunch on that Tuesday.
And
Is there a reason why we're not taking the train instead?
We wanted to all go together, and
Isn't it because it's not much?
well, you can. We don't.
If you get a train, you have to then get a
It's
coach
not
on the
as
station
easy
to the
as it-
hospital.
It's not just A to
And
B.
generally you have to change up there.
Yeah, it's in the middle. It's not like by a main train station.
Something
It's
like
kind of in the middle.
It's going to probably, is it easier?
Yeah, it's kind of 6 and 2 threes. Yeah.
In terms of time? Or maybe not, just not change.
2 hours and 10 minutes. So we'll increase the cost, but we'll look into that if you're very strongly about it. And the other thing is,
Yeah.
what did you
No.
say again?
I said whatever's quicker and easier.
Yeah, at the end of it.
It's a 3-hour train journey. I do it almost every week. So it's Oxenholme. It's the main line from Euston all the way up to Glasgow, and you just get off at Oxenholme is the name of the stop, and from there there is a train that takes you a little bit further in, but it's probably easiest then to just get picked up at that station at Oxenholme and just driven in, and it's about 45 minutes from that station.
Maybe that
So.
would be a better option to get a coach to pick us up from there.
That's assuming that you make the connection to get to Euston. But if you miss the train, you've got to wait.
Well,
You
no,
miss
that's all fine.
it. It's actually behind.
Yes, but I think the journey back, going there.
Going there on the train, coming back.
It was to avoid stragglers. But we can look, if you prefer it, we can, if you prefer it, I'm not going to make you. 547.
Is that inclusive?
And then, so again,
Is that inclusive of the 2,400 I saw on the website?
no, the 2,400 is what I'd like everyone to raise as a minimum for their fundraising.
In addition to the 500.
Yeah, the 500 is for you to pay, and then fundraise a minimum of 2,400. I came up with that because it's 24, and it's doable. It's very, very doable. It is, and you'll probably get more because people feel really sorry for you. You know, people, yeah.
Can I ask you, I know you've done the one challenge and then you did one
Both.
But what, do you find that people give more if the challenge is harder or
Okay.
or extreme?
Okay, I found-
Do you think that people may see this as an easier?
No,
I'm not saying
not
it's
at all.
easier, but
Not at all.
in terms of kind
There were
of-
3 reasons I chose to do this. One, it's close to home, people can do it, it's doable for everyone to get to logistically and leave their families. It's women only because men can't get their act together. We've tried to do men only, women and men. It just doesn't work. It's just women seem to be able to drive themselves and get themselves together. We've tried to do a kiddie challenge for men. It didn't happen. We tried to do an Iceland challenge, but it didn't happen. Women want to do a challenge, and also we raise more money as a group of women from North West London who get in their arse and gear and going up and doing a challenge. People give money. And that's I'm just being honest. So that's why you're here as women and we're doing this challenge, because it is quite, it's not everyone wants to do this. Lots of people said, oh, I'm not going to do that. Lots of people said that to me. This isn't easy. I don't think
Did people sponsor you less when you did Iceland and Killy? Or
absolutely
people
not.
gave
They
you
give
what
money because we're doing a challenge, we're putting ourselves out there for a charity, which is a fantastic charity, by the way, from first-hand experience. And they'll give you, and you know what, it's doable. 2,400 minimum is doable. People will give 20, 50, 100, whatever.
And can I ask you, I know when you fundraised for Kilimanjaro,
Yeah.
you fundraised as a group.
No, we did it as individuals, and there was also, we had a fantastic page, and there were our individual photos, but you could also give to us as a group, because obviously there's overlap, you know, we all have friends in common. And it doesn't really matter, ultimately it didn't matter as long as we raised money. And we raised much more than we thought we would. We set ourselves...
But if there is overlap, will we be, presumably you won't.
Oh, I see, you
realise
worried
this,
about... No, but we take a view. Yeah, of course. I'm not going to not let you come because...
Because actually, because it's interesting, because if you put on a page and as far as you're doing it, you want to raise, you know, or 4 of you doing, you want to raise £10,000.
Yeah.
It seems like a lot of money, but if you put 2,400 as your target, it's probably more doable than.
Funny, it's an interesting question. Funny enough, when we did Kill It, both times actually, I raised my target because the higher you put it, it's like people give you more. It's funny.
didn't we?
Yeah, we started low and thought actually let's
Yeah.
because we wanna
Yeah.
get more, and they think when you've reached your target, I'm not going to give you more. It's a funny thing. I don't know. It worked like that.
The 547,
Yes.
where does that money go exactly?
Where?
Just
On this gentleman,
Oh, okay, right.
on his
Right.
guides, on the hostel, on the food, on the insurance,
Yeah.
on the coaches or trains, whatever you do, everything's included. Yes, am I
Yep,
right?
that's, yeah. So there's no kind of hidden cost. There's no meals that aren't included. Once you're there, everything's kind of paid for and things. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Will you left your own devices in terms of training for it, or would you be doing like a group session?
It's whatever people want. We set up a group session when we did Killy, and we did a few walks. We did some Sunday 6-hour walks. I mean, we were incredibly we trained prepared, quite frankly. We went up and down Parliament Hill a few times and thought, oh, that'll do it. So, you know, and can I just say, on that trip, and on both our treks, there were some people who were really fit and struggled, and some people who hadn't done much training and were fine. So it's just all, a lot of it's up here, as you were saying.
Yeah, absolutely.
And as long as you feel comfortable that you are strong enough to keep going, because it's basically a lot of hours of keeping going, then it's doable. That's how
Yeah.
I see it. Any more questions? Thank you very much. I'm really impressed that you bothered to come out in the freezing cold Monday morning to listen to this and thinking of doing it. Which is what I thought. Oh, Nicole! Yes, we will provide hand gel.
Just looking at the bottom of the sheet here, it says the itinerary may change due to wildlife movements.
Does it really?
That had to be you. This is why we won't be contacted. She will bring the list of doctors. She'll bring the doctors with her. Go on.
There have been occasions where, because you're walking over kind of, well, a lot of it is kind of national park, or a lot of that, the trade up here is owned by the National Trust, and there are a lot of wild animals, and we have had occasions where we've been asked to alter a route because a particular deer is one of the major ones that we've kind of had. There's a lot of like nesting birds that kind of use certain areas, so if...
It's not better to
Oh, right, no, oh, well.
It's just deer and bird.
There are still rumours of the wild cats and things, you know, and the pumas and things, you know. So you never know.
I've just had a question. What you do next? You go away, you think about it, and you start training. And we'll send you some emails coming up.
Our link is live.
Oh, the link is live. You can sign up now.
Yes, you can sign up when you get home. But we'll send it, we'll send on the link as well tomorrow. If you've got any other questions, you can email.
You know, would it be possible, just for the people who are not here, if you could send a copy of that PowerPoint?
We videoed this meeting.
Yeah, because
and we're
you'll have
putting it online.
And you can send it.
Yeah, I can send a PowerPoint. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.